More than 50 years ago, one man spoke of a dream of a future full of freedom and human dignity for all persons, regardless of color or ethnicity. This man was Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and his far-sighted words pointed the United States toward a future wherein all races would live in harmony, a future at which, unfortunately, we have not yet arrived, but one we keep striving for nevertheless, spurred onward by the hope of his declaration that such a change is and was inevitable. In the 1960s, Dr. King spoke about two Americas. One America was overflowing with the milk of prosperity and the honey of opportunity. It was the habitat of millions of people who had food and material necessities for their bodies, and cultural and education for their minds, and freedom and human dignity for their spirits. And the other America, an America wherein millions of work-starved men walked the streets daily in search for jobs that do not exist, where millions of people find themselves living in rat-infested, vermin-filled slums. It is painful to admit, but it is the truth. Those same two Americas exist today in 2018. However, I, perhaps naively, but most certainly, believe that the other America, the latter one, is shrinking. Maybe not as rapidly as we would like it to, but it is shrinking nonetheless. One concept, or catalyst, contributing to this change and bringing about such a shift is education. Back then, minority students, especially African Americans, listened carefully to King's advice. Quote, "We've got to study hard. We've got to stay in school." Again, I know the social problems that cause many Negroes to drop out of school, but I urge you today to develop the rugged determination to stay in school, to stick with it to the end. It may be that you will have to work harder than other people, but don't mind that. Go on and do it anyhow. Close quote. Not only did they listen and work hard and see success then, but today, those same people inspire minority students to do the same, even though education overall is still far from perfect in equality and equity. It doesn't matter, echoes Dr. King's words, as he reminds students that, quote, "doors of opportunities are opening now that were not open to our mothers and our fathers. And the great challenge facing each of you today is to be ready to enter these doors as they open," close quote. By education, I am not just speaking of book learning. I'm also speaking of the education of the self, the development within ourselves of a deep sense of somebodyness, as Dr. King called it. The finding and armoring of ourselves with a sense of self-worth and self-dignity that will imbue us with the power to stand together against the forces that seek to divide us. According to his words, quote, "Our power lies in our ability to unite around concrete programs," close quote. When we, regardless of skin color, work together toward a common goal, remarkable things happen. We've proven this in the last 50 years. We've made advancements in race relations. We've seen African Americans and other minorities elected and appointed to judicial positions, including the United States Supreme Court. We've also elected and appointed African Americans and other minorities to civic and political offices at all levels, including the presidency of the United States. While we may not have reached our goal in Dr. King's dream yet, we have progressed. But we cannot and must not stop here and now. We have come a far distance. We have further yet to go. Today, when it seems like the media intends to separate us into factions, we must come together. We must work even harder to build bonds of friendship and relationships of trust. We can't afford to allow ourselves, no matter the ethnicity, to succumb to the use of violence against those who see things differently than we do. We, like King, must declare that, quote, "nonviolence is the most potent weapon available to oppress people in their struggle for freedom and injustice," close quote, and that, quote, "violence will only create more social problems than they will solve," close quote. We must work together for the betterment of all peoples, not just for those of our same skin color. We must ensure that all students, no matter ethnicity or economic background, receive a quality education, have access to further education and employment opportunities. Then, once we have carried out these vital tasks, we will see the gap close and Dr. King's future become a reality.